Hi guys, my name is Wibsody, and before I proceed with the Speedpaint, I first would like to talk about Marvel Rivals and how it has been one of my most anticipated games this year. I got to try it out during one of the open tests. It was a very fun experience playing during those times, and I'm even more excited to play it around December 6th. I'm not sure whether or not this video has been released on said date or maybe even after that, but regardless, I wanted to create this video as a way of celebrating the release of Marvel Rivals by showing this process video of me on how I drew Wave, Gambit, and Rogue in the style of Marvel Rivals. I know the intro is already a bit long, it's already nearly a minute long, so let's proceed to the speed paint. So the first character I did was Pangan, aka Wave. For those who may not be familiar with the character, Wave is a superheroine from the Philippines, specifically in Cebu, and she has water-based powers. She also carries around these two blades, and in her outfit or costume, she has these retractable fins. I would say the best way for you to know more about her personality and her story is through the comics, particularly involving the Agents of Atlas lineup. Wave actually doesn't have a lot of appearances. I can only say that she has appeared in some Marvel mobile games such as Marvel Snap and Marvel Future Fight. However, there is the upcoming Spider-Man animated series, though I'm not a fan of how she's portrayed. So yeah, you might as well stick with the comics for this one. Oh yeah, also, my sincerest apologies for how scrunched up the recording is. I know you won't be able to see the complete details of me painting specific areas of the character. However, I will provide some behind the scenes, behind the process, as well as give my insights on how I was able to go about the art style of the game. So to start that off, here are my thoughts when it came to recreating and of course learning the art style of Marvel Rivals. I would say the best thing about the art style of Marvel Rivals, as observed from its character design to its environments, is that the art style is, well, stylized. I would say it's very unique in comparison to other first-person shooters. I would say the only other game that comes to mind is, well, Overwatch. That is a complete separate situation on its own. But again, the focus is Marvel Rivals. Anyway, the fact that Marvel Rivals' art style is shown that way, I had a bit of confidence that I could at least try to pull it off. And as mentioned a while ago, the first character that came to mind that I wanted to try this art style with was Wave. Of course, knowing her skill sets and knowing her abilities, it would be interesting to see how she would look like in the game, in Marvel Rivals. And so with the idea in mind, I went to work. Pretty much as I went along designing Wave, I had to learn how they got about character design, because I know they have particular rules on how they want the characters to look like to better match the style. Apart from having to learn how they got about the anatomy of the characters to how they made use of shapes to emphasize certain aspects of the character, there was also the importance of texture and how to paint certain materials. The best example of this is having to learn how to paint metal, because they have a certain way of painting said material. So one of the references I had in mind when I was painting the armor pieces of Wave was, well, Loki, since he and Wave have, I would say, similar materials used, so that's pretty much where I got an idea of how to paint metal from. Just this image of Loki. But hey, he was pretty useful. Oh yeah, speaking of references, it's good that I also bring up two other characters who I say are pretty much helpful when it came to learning how to recreate the art style. Two of those characters that I got references from was Magic and Adam Warlock. Their references were very helpful when it came to painting Waves' hair and painting her skin tone, making sure that everything seemed to blend well, but at the same time making the texture feel consistent. And most importantly, I would say the references for Magic and Adam Warlock were very helpful when it came to designing Waves' face. I'm gonna deviate here a bit because I would very much say that there's a particular way these characters look. It's like they just look so good, and I want to accomplish that with Wave, and at the same time give her a very distinct and unique look that makes her stand out among the other characters in the roster. Now, with all that said, I would like to say that when it came to the process of this, when it came to painting, from textures to doing shadows and lighting to doing the rim lighting, that is a very important aspect to the art style of Marvel Rivals. All of that was very fun. I very much enjoyed the process of painting. And of course, we have the final touches, most importantly the background, as observed in various character illustrations for, well, the characters. And so here's my final illustration of Wave, if Wave was in Marvel Rivals. Considering that that's my first attempt, my first go at the Marvel Rivals art style, I would like to say I like to think I did a very good job at it. But of course, as I said earlier, I'm not stopping with Wave. Of course, I wanted to have another go. And during the time, Deadpool and Wolverine was trending the moment that I illustrated this. So of course, the second character that I had in mind was none other than Gambit. From my observations, Gambit has gotten popular this year, this 2024, because of X-Men 97 and Deadpool and Wolverine. But apart from the fact that he's trending, just knowing his skill set and his powers, you can make it in a way that does fit the first-person shooter experience. So yeah, I think Gambit was a great choice for my second go at this, but also apart from that, I like to think other people would agree that they would want to see Gambit in the game. Also, fun fact here, I made the decision to give Gambit what's called a rat tail, and of course, out of all the places where I learned this thing from, it's from an episode of Big City Greens. I just so happened to be watching it with my younger brother, and I thought, hey, I wanted to try combining that idea with Gambit, and I think it was an okay idea. I'm pretty much glad that it stuck through. I remember posting sketches and of course the final illustration of him, and I never knew how popular that one got, so rat-tailed Gambit for the win, I guess. Apart from Gambit's hairstyle, I also wanted to change some aspects of this Gambit design. I wanted to add some aspects and make it seem as if it fit well with the Marvel Rivals game. I added some details on the headpiece, I added some details around the armor pieces for his neck, for his chest. You can see the X that's just plastered onto his armor piece. Another thing is what I added to his classic trench coat, which are the spikes on his shoulders. And apart from that, I pretty much just updated his battle gloves. So yeah, those are about the simple choices I made in what aspects of his original design I wanted to alter. Oh yeah, and another thing, unlike Wave, I chose not to do a full body illustration for Gambit. I wanted to keep this more simpler for me, but if I were to design his lower half, I would give him boots with spikes, just boots with spikes. I'm gonna go back to discussing some details I've noticed when it came to recreating the Marvel Rivals art style. Most particularly, well, I was scrolling through references of various characters. One detail I noticed was how they utilized line work. I'll show some examples here, but through my observations, the way they made use of these lines to make characters look and feel dynamic, it strengthens their structure, it emphasizes their poses. The lines are also reminiscent of how they got about Miguel O'Hara from the Across the Spider-Verse film. I'll also show some examples, but I'm very much hoping you can see the similarities. Another detail I noticed was how they got about rim lighting. Apart from mainly using white as the main color for their rim light, they also made use of other colors, for example, cyan and magenta. But it doesn't just stop there. With these other colors, they also implemented this 3D-like visual effect. And yeah, I would say that definitely makes the design stand out and pop up more. Of course, it couldn't just be Gambit. I had to also do my take on Rogue as well. Now, admittedly, Rogue was the most challenging in terms of how I wanted to design how she looks in-game, from her face to the hairstyle I wanted to give her to her outfit. You just might spot me in this video. You just might spot me contemplating on what design choices I wanted to go through with. You'll pretty much observe that throughout the next few seconds or minutes. Now, one of the things I was contemplating on whether or not to change in Rogue's design here was her hair. Now, the white strands of her hair, it was simple to just keep. They're very important traits to her character design. What I decided to do with her hairstyle instead was to give more volume to her hairstyle. I thought of giving Rogue a hairstyle that's very similar to a lion's mane. At first I thought of making Rogue's design reminiscent of a wolf. It's also interesting considering that I first thought of giving Gambit a rat tail. So, I mean, I guess we're pushing forward with these animal-based designs, so win-win, I guess. Another thing that I wanted to change in her classic design was her jacket. There are some iterations where she dons a brown jacket. There's the X-Men 97 one, it's a green jacket. But for this one, I not only decided to add fur to her jacket because, well, those kinds of jackets are really cool. I decided to give her jacket a yellow color. I also added some black accents to the jacket, and that was also including the belt straps around the elbow area. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, apart from the classic look, there was another suit design that I took inspiration from. I'll be showing that, as well as putting the source of where it first appeared. So yeah, those are just about the design choices I made for this Rogue design. Other than that, it's pretty much similar to the process for the other two, for Wave and Gambit. It was pretty much just having to paint similarly to the style of Marvel Rivals. Following the same brushwork, the same textures, even following the same details surrounding the rim lighting, as well as doing that fancy line work. And here is the final illustration or piece for Gambit and Rogue if they were in Marvel Rivals. Just like my attempt with Rogue, I am very proud of myself for this one. If you cannot tell, my most favorite among the three has to be Gambit. I just really like how I got about his design here. As for my approach in Rogue's design, I think I did a great job as well. I just think there are some aspects that I feel I should have reconsidered. There are some choices that I could have explored more. I feel as if I can have another go at this, perhaps some other time. So yeah, that was me recreating the art style of Marvel Rivals with Gambit, Rogue, and Wave. Overall, I think I did a really great job at recreating the style. I'm very proud of myself for this one. I'm just very happy. Perhaps in the near future, maybe I can have more attempts, more tries at recreating the Marvel Rivals art style, but that depends on which characters I would be doing. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to comment down below. So yeah, that has been me drawing various Marvel characters in the style of Marvel Rivals. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. Thank you for watching.